Saturday wrap up. It's going to be good to get this one out of the way just because it pains me to say that I was correct on one hand and very saddened on the other. So Payne Haas, I spoke about him. He was definitely going to be stepping up in this game. He does not go 3 games in a row quite like that. You go back through it and yeah, he might have a 50 odd, and then he always goes at 70 plus. And in this one here, you just have to marvel at the man himself. 44 tackles for no misses. I haven't seen him make 40 plus in a good while. They did run back in at him a fair bit, but he just never misses, does he? He's very, very impressive. Obviously, the 5 tackle breaks, the couple offloads. Yeah, when this bloke starts scoring more tries, it's going to be scary. 219 meters there. So at least they didn't do me dirty with the 220 there, hey? Got to think of the upside, the positives there. But yeah, 83. That hurts this week, but I have been pretty lucky. Obviously, he didn't play round 20 after missing round 19. He's had a couple of 50s since then, so definitely cannot complain. The one I was complaining a little bit about yesterday was that of Pat Carrigan. And to be honest, guys, the reason I didn't pick him up, I was interested in a mid. Wasn't excited about all the mids that we're going to be playing every game, and Carrigan missing that round 25 was going to be a little bit of a worry for me, and that's the reason I went for DCE. Apart from the fact that they average fairly similarly. Carrigan was about a 57.5, DCE a 58.5. But yeah, Carrigan here playing middle and then moving to the edge where he had some opportunities to score tries and obviously set them up as well. For him to go back-to-back tries, it's pretty upsetting, to be honest. I'm happy for him, obviously. He's such an impressive player, and I obviously wish that I would be owning him right now. That's an extra, 39 points this week. And yeah, to be honest, if I had the extra 12K, I would have went Faizay Yo, and that would have given me an extra 24 in the end with these updates, which hasn't come in yet, guys. So just if you're aware of that, the Penrith game hasn't updated completely yet. But yeah, Paddy, just well done on his front. Can't really say too much more. He's amazing, and he's one of the best players in the game, obviously at the moment. And then in fantasy, he's being really, really dominant in that mid position. So you'd have to say he's clearly in a probably 4th or 5th spot in the mids. And for those that are a little bit cheaper, like Paddy is, that would have worked out well. For those that grabbed him, he's actually owned by 0 people in the top 100. So I would have been the only one if I did grab. Which in hindsight is like, oh, that would have been a nice pod. A gun pod. When does that happen? Very often. Doesn't. Anywho, those ones are out of the way. It goes up from here with the scoring anyway. For my players, and I know a lot of yours guys as well. There's going to be some very high scoring teams this week. 1100 I think will be par or something like that. Depending how today goes, obviously. Stagsy, 76. How good's he been the last bunch of weeks? Crazy. A couple of try savers and 2 turnover tackles. There's 18 points, obviously. But other than that, he's been much better on the attacking side of the ball. Getting line breaks, getting tackle breaks. Defensively, been solid, as he has been for a bunch of years now. So, well done to Stagsy on that one. If you grabbed him a few weeks ago in the 400s, yeah, he's definitely one of those guys that he won't be cheap next year, and he just does this, doesn't he? He seems to get those 70s, or a bunch of them at least, across the season, and then he ends up with an average of close to 40. And it's like, oh, maybe he's undervalued because he had all these 70s, and it's going to happen again coming into next year, which is funny. Also, guys, a big thank you to all of you for still watching here in the back end of round 23. I very much appreciate the support that you guys show me, and I hope that I'm helping you with some tips here, and I hope that a lot of you's jumped on Payne Haas, that's for sure. All right, Leilua, 76. He comes off 50s, 60s. He looks just like he's going to get those scores each and every week, and then he went back-to-back 30, basically, and then a 76 here. It's just crazy how this works, especially against a better team. He seemed to absolutely dominate with 6 offloads to hand, 24 points on that alone. Yeah, very impressive for those that are playing roulette with him. It's very much maybe we'll compare him to Appy a little bit there with the sort of 55 plus, and then he goes for 29 pretty regularly there. Farnworth 55, so he had a lovely try assist, plenty of tackle breaks and offloads there, doing his job as always, and then got a knock to the shin, or just next to the shin there, the muscle just around the shin. So seems to likely be okay, NRL Physio seems to think, which is good. For those that are holding him, he should be back next week, but we'll see what happens there. Only issue there is if he does miss next week, he misses the week after with the bye as well, so that would be a sucker punch. Talangi and Felt, 53, 52. Piakura, 52. So for those that have held on, if you were able to loop him or play him in this one, then that worked out great. He gets some easy line breaks. I think he's really working into his season and into first grade, because he's been touted as a very good up-and-coming player, and we're now beginning to see that. here in this one. He might get a little bit too expensive for next year too if he happens to start at some point for Capewell or however they, if there's injuries or something like that. It's going to be a bit interesting. I love how we're already thinking about next year, which is funny. Walshy, 46 for him. He's just so fun to watch. I think they used the word electric like 3 times in one sentence yesterday, but yeah, there's no better way to explain him other than that. Hillam Lukey, the 46 for him in the 31 minutes. So that's impressive. So he did obviously a try-saver turnover tackle in there, but a try. Some silky ball play from Drinkwater there as well. We had Robson in next at 42, so he ended up with a try-saver turnover tackle, and still only the 42 points is very, very upsetting for those that are still holding on to him. He's really taken a big fall from grace, and averaging under 50 for the season now, all the way down at 580. He'll get a little bit lower than that after this week as well. Lost 200k. It'll be more than that. 203 now on his starting price. 11 missed tackles. It just seems to hit and then fall off pretty easy, to be honest with you, and allowing them to go that extra few meters. And a lot of time it's not really bad misses, but they're enough to give the opposition another 3 or 4 meters and pushing him off into another player. And it's just not what I expect from Robbo as now an Origin half as well. He's actually probably gone backwards in his defensive output. Offensively seems similar. And it's just, I suppose we can comment on the game now as well. Just a very, very important game for the Cows, and some terrific play from Broncos, and defensively were very steely, very, very good there. I think this was a really, really good game, and for the most part, the Cowboys were in this. Obviously, a few errors and bits and pieces at the end when they were trying to catch up, and they actually, if one or two of them came together, they'd probably try away from getting in front, and it wasn't meant to be. And I think the correct winners were crowned there in the Broncos, and they're going to be a very fun team, at least for to be able to challenge the Panthers at the end of the year. But Cowboys need to get themselves into gear over this last few games, especially the bye next week. Give them a little freshen up, and hopefully that last 3 games for them they can absolutely dominate, which is very well needed. But Drinkwater for him, 41, so a couple of low ones now. As soon as the Cowboys haven't played as well, his opportunities have dried up a little bit. But he still is obviously getting involved in as much as possible, run the footy plenty at 181. So, still going to be one of those guys to hold for the rest of the year, I think. If you do have multiple trades, then I would understand moving him on next week for, Latrell, if you're using for a head-to-head final or something like that. That could work really well, who we'll speak about in a sec. Cotter the 40, again, not enough, unfortunately. Heading down the list, not too much else is there. Yep, that's all. All right, moving on to the next one. It was a game. Those high quality games when players just seem to be in there. The ball seems to be in play very regularly for a lot of time. There's very high scores that come out of it. Knights get away with this one, 30-28, and the Dolphins really pushed hard, really tried hard. Knights didn't play perfectly, but they had plenty of nice moments in there, is how I'll say it. Jermaine Asako really was trying to keep the Dolphins in this game for as long as possible. He obviously had a fairly easy try at the start with Greg Marzou having an absolute shocker of a first half. You don't expect much worse from him. Defensively, you can usually say he has a few issues, but ball in hand, he was dropping them. He had a few issues on that front, and then slipped over for that first try of Asako. He ended up with 3 and 76 points, so back to one of those top tier games that we were getting from him at the first half of the year. It just shows guys that in these games that are fairly close, then he can definitely score well, and when they're winning, he's going to be dominant. He's going to be kicking goals. Although, does anyone watch his goal kicking technique? When he kicks the ball flush, dead straight, his follow through is immaculate, straight through the ball. These ones, that's that one he missed last week to win the game when they were down by 1. He just falls away, and you can see those first few kicks he did yesterday. He just straight fall away, kick, fall away. If you want to watch the highlights of it, it's very telling, and more telling with him than a lot of other guys, just because he's such a sweet kicker of the footy. It looks like he goes a little bit lazy on it and just goes, "Yep, I'm just going to pop this over." And when he is falling away like that, he's still aiming just inside the right stick. So, he needs to be aiming a lot wider if he's going to do that technique, the fall away technique. Otherwise, kicking straight through it. When he's kicking it beautifully, he's very, very straight in his kicking. So, something of note there. And in terms of kicking, Ponga was much better in his kicking in this game. He had 5 goals from 5 attempts, which was delightful. And from a few, Harley was in front. All of them from that left or right, which was mainly from the left there actually, which was very impressive. And him scoring a couple of try assists himself. He was 22, I think, at the half. 20 maybe. I think he got down to 18 with a missed tackle early on the second half, and then absolutely turned it on. So for anyone that did captain Ponga, you take the 71, but obviously you want to be having Cleary or Johnson or something like that. I did see there was one in the top 1,000 or something, or top 100 that captained him, maybe. I don't know, one of the two. Yeah, very interesting. Adam Elliott back in business, so a much better game from him. Plenty of attacking stats in there for 65. He's an interesting finishing type of player if he's getting those minutes. Frizzell, the 57, a nice bounce back from him. And just a very, very much a lack of negatives in this one, which helped him out. Lockie Fitzgibbon, the 5 offloads. So that's that with him. And there, I suppose Frizzell, like, again, every single player that I was looking at, except for Nat Butcher, outscored my man DCE. So it shows that sometimes, you pick the highest average guy and it doesn't work out, apparently. So yeah, Frizzell come back with a 57. He was an option this week as well. Dom Young, there's so many 50s in this game, wasn't there? Yeah, bunch of 50s in there. A lot of them not super relevant. Crossland with a good one there. Lemuelu with a 49. So yeah, sounds like he wasn't actually concussed. Independent doctor ruled that way too quickly. And apparently he was just, so I suppose sometimes, like, Ponga was laying down there for a bit. He was just a bit sore, and it was like, oh, we're taking you off for a HIA. And it's like, well, yeah, I'm actually fine. But then he would actually be able to come back on. Whereas Lemuelu, they just ruled him out straight away, which was strange. But in this one, obviously got the 2 line breaks, got the try in there. It was a lovely catch on his one-handed pickup. 7 missed tackles kind of cooked his score a little bit. It could have been much better than that. Jared Wallace, what about his offloading to start this game? It was pretty crazy. Cody Nikorima keeps doing good work. You're not playing fullback in this one for those that still own Cody. Dane Gagai, 43. It looked like he was going to get a fairly low score. He was about, 20-ish at halftime? No, 13 at halftime. And really stacked it up from there and did end up with a couple of negatives just to round this thing out. He got to 45 with about 5 or 6 minutes to go, and I thought he was going to sneak that 50, but yeah, it wasn't to be. He had one lovely run there, a line break, and about 4 tackle breaks in that one hit. So yeah, a couple of line break assists early on, which worked out well. But yeah, I suppose with him, you want him running hard, where he gets the offloads, he gets the tackle breaks. He didn't have any offloads in this one, and 43 you'll cop for sure. Obviously, if you just trade him in, not as much, but he'll be better in other games for sure. Hopefully, it's the same as my boy DCE, that's for sure. Val Tafade got a try, a fairly easy one at that. He almost passed it off to Isako to try and give him 4, but he's like, nah, that's a bit under 10 stuff, isn't it? Unless he was going for a record, I think. Just take the try. But 6 missed tackles for him. Getting -1 in tackles is not exactly what you're looking for, unfortunately, here in that one with him. And that's about all we need to say on Val there. He's a decent cover guy. Greg Marzu got the line break try in the end up with a 30. You'll take that. I know Scoop will be like, oh, could have been a lot worse, that's for sure with him. But that's that. Hammer at 25. Yeah. Milford got the 26 minutes in this one. Kurt Mann got a try, 26. Yeah, so not much going on with him off the bench, unfortunately. And then the Sharkies got up 26-16 over the Bunnies and went to 26-0 very, very early in this one. And Rabbitohs tried to sneak it back there. But some good scores from a lot of the likely suspects, and that is why we are talking about having a pass score of about 1,100, because most players are scoring well, and that's where my DCE 42 actually hurts a little bit, when most other players, popular players anyway, are getting 50 plus, and even the Jesse Ramians of the world with 51 end up with a nice try assist. And you give him early ball, and when they're in a good mood, the Sharkies, then if Hines is giving him early pill, he's able to do plenty with it, which is good. So 51, if you end up playing him, great. I know a lot of people would have been playing, they have, like last week, they were able to loop Manu and play Ramian. This time you may have not even got his score, but you'll take the Manu 68, that's for sure. In that one, let's go to McInnes next to 52 there. Very, very lucky for non-owners of him, because he's still got 74 minutes, which is crazy. I don't know how he's got 80 and 74 when he plays the way he does, but a few negatives in this one, and a few less tackles at 42, so a bit more in the normal range. But they obviously had more ball than they did last week, and anyone who plays Panthers at the moment is making a hell of a lot of tackles, that's for sure. So McInnes to 52. As an owner, you cop it. That's basically where he's priced at, so that's fine. As a non-owner, you're very happy that in those minutes he was able to get the 52. I suppose the thing here is that if he did get about that 55 to 65 minutes, then we'd be looking at around a 40-odd score, which would have been much better for non-owners. But I suppose it's on par, basically. How good's Talis Duncan at 50 in 37 minutes? It's very impressive work rate there. 25 tackles, 137 meters to go along with a nice break and the rest there. Let's go Latrell at 62. So a try saver for him and 4 turnover tackles is wild. So 21 points just on that front. 1 try assist as well. No tries yet. So very impressive that he's able to get these type of stats without tries. Very, very good. So just the 4 turnover tackles for a fullback is very, very impressive. Cam Murray, so getting 80 minutes in this one. Exactly what we're hoping for. And I suppose he's back. We can officially say that the man Cam Murray, the PPM was there, the 4 tackle breaks, couple offloads, big run meters, which is unexpected. He had a sort of a 30-meter run or so in open play after Talis Duncan made the break. Gave it to Cam and go son. Good tackle numbers as well. 47 for 3 misses. So 8 in total. Not the worst thing ever. And a good pickup for basically everyone now. Nico Hines, 72, so a lovely score from him and a good win, a well-needed win for the Sharkies. And the main issue now is these bunnies are in trouble of missing the 8, just like the Cowboys are. So it's just such an important win for Sharkies against a team that they're basically going to be up against to make that 8. So away from home, very, very impressive stuff from Nico and his squad. Worked out really, really well. So 72, back at it for Nico, and if you did sell him, you probably are a little bit upset. Obviously, if you went to Cleary, it's a bit of an upgrade, but you'd likely wanting to be having both. And then Damien Cook, for those that are still sticking strong, a 76, so big tackle numbers, and obviously a few other stats there as well with a try save, turnover tackle, and the like. We'll head down a little bit lower. Graham and Tast both solid. Trindle with 2 tries for 47. Crazy the difference when he's not the sole halfback in this one. Nikora ended up, big downgrade actually. Wow, he was 50 overnight and ended up 43. I didn't actually see that until now. Wow, okay. Not great. So a couple of poor ones in a row, obviously moving to the centers the week previous. And then in here in the edge position, obviously just low tackle numbers, low run meters. He still had two offloads and 4 tackle breaks, but 43 is a bit upsetting, obviously. Hiroti, 41 for him, good stuff. Lower down from there, Rudolph back to decent minutes, which is why I found it interesting that McInnes went really, really high, but they went low with Hazleton. Jack Williams got good minutes there. Hamlin Ueli was low with 30. Hazleton the 25, which he's been playing more than that. And then Royce Hunt only the 13 minutes, and then Moylan didn't even get on the park. So that's where McInnes got the extra minutes. It was just the lack of the bench usage. And I imagine surely next week he does get a bit more of a spell in that one for sure. Tyrone Munro while we're here at 23, so a very lowish one for him with a good line break, which got him plenty of meters, but 5 errors, a bit upsetting for him and is going to hurt, obviously, especially with the loss, but he'll bounce back. He's a young, very talented player. Cody Walker, very low in this one as well, with a try assist in that at 26, and Wade Graham, I suppose, the other one there at 34. If you had to play him, a little bit unfortunate because he was scoring really well. He was about 20 odd at half time. And then a bunch of missed tackles hurt him in this one. Connor Tracy at 35. Colin Matangi, as I said, those edges like him and Olakuatu very, very up and down. And that's basically it. There's the 3 games, guys. There's 2 more today. It's kicking off at 2 p.m. If you have lots of Eels players, I'm excited for you. If you have Lomax, I don't want you to go well, but he's surely he gets back to about a 40 odd. Not these 57, 70, 80, 100. It's been crazy. But good luck today. I think if you've got 4 players, you'll probably hold rank. 5 players, you'll improve. Anything above that. 3, you might just drop a tad, depending on the 3. If you've got 3 really high-level players. What have I got myself? I've got IPAP and Bateman. I've got Penasini. I have Horsburgh. One other. Who am I missing? What are the last 2 games? Tigers. I've got the 2. Raiders, 1. Who am I missing out? Oh, Hopgood. Penasini and Hopgood from the Eels then, and Brendan Hands, but he doesn't play anymore apparently. So that's that, guys. Good luck today, and we'll see you in the wrap up tomorrow.